Excellent day, morning, evening, night, wherever you are and whatever time you're watching this brief video in this 5-part series of Can You Be Happy All the Time? Is it possible to be happy all the time? Interesting topic, and some of the comments have been quite awesome. And just getting more feedback from different people has been wonderful. And I really appreciate you guys for watching and tuning in to All in One, One in All, this wonderful movement that's really about cultivating an awareness and developing an awareness of our inner peace and our inner joy, and then allowing that to actually start to really take over the inside of your mind, so that in that way more peace and more joy starts to actually come out in our language and in our interaction, and eventually what would be described as omni-action with other people. So I'm pretty excited, pretty thrilled about this process, and what's been going on for those who have actually been applying this for some time, and for those of us who are very new to maybe embracing this information or this kind of information. You will see over time different levels of changes happening. So today is the fourth of a 5-part series, and today's topic is to deal with feelings. And feelings is a really interesting area. I want to start off with, first really just letting us recognize that there is a difference between emotions and feelings. All right, there's a difference between emotions and feelings. Emotions, energy in motion. There's an underlying energy that moves, right? There's an energy within our body, our body that moves, called emotion. And most of us could feel it. You could feel that emotion inside you from time to time. Now, emotion is something that comes about by our experience. Emotion is something that builds itself up over time, and human beings have emotions that have built up based on past experiences. Some of them are what you would call positive emotions. Some of them are what we call negative emotions. Now, what are some of the positive emotions? Feeling cool, feeling happy, having a positive attitude. Those are some of the positive energies that we have defined. And then there is what we would call negative emotions, which really comes from a sense of fear, worries, doubts, anxieties, not feeling like something could possibly go in a direction that you don't want. Now, those emotions come through based on experience. Let me give an example of what I mean. For example, the emotion of sadness. Let's say you have a loved one, right? A loved one who actually left the planet. They're no longer here with you. Very close to you. It could have been somebody, maybe your mother, your father, or relative, or a very close friend, and they're no longer here. Well, most of us tend to go through a period of what you call sadness associated with the one that was departed. Now, let's look at a 4-year-old, or 4-year-old, even 5, right? 3, 4, 5-year-old child. And grandma is no longer here, and the child discovers that grandma is no longer here. Is that child sad? No, because the child hasn't learned or associated a meaning with that activity, that happening, right? So sadness, when you really look at it, the emotion is something that we learn because we associate something that changes with that feeling, right? You associate something that changes with that feeling. So over time, we have built up these emotions. So we have a lot of coagulated energy that's operating within our subconscious that sometimes triggers, bring them up, anger. Let's say somebody took something from you, took your money, or ran into the back of your car, right? What that generally brings up or triggers is a feeling of being upset because, the person smashed into the back of the car. So when the person ran into the back of the car, oh, I have all this money to spend now. Why weren't you looking where you were going? And those thoughts and memories of what that experience means comes up, and triggers that feeling or memory, and therefore the emotion associated with what that previous experience was. But if you had a 3 or 5-year-old in the car and somebody ran into the back, they may be a little startled at first, but they have no sense of anger about the incident because they don't have they don't have a way to relate it to something of value. So when you look at it, emotions are something that we build up. If you drill down into all the different ones, whether you're going to call it anger, you're going to call it fear, worry, despair, depression, whatever that negative emotion is, once you drill down below it, you'll recognize that it's based on past experiences. the way in which we had experienced things up to this point helps us to learn and in a process build up these emotions. Now what emotions do is emotions cover feelings. Now feelings are to differentiate emotions from feelings, and the reason why we're talking about it this way is so that we can understand what are the feelings, what are the core feelings that we have. And the feelings that we have, they come from the presence of God. They emanate or they radiate from the presence of God, and we are created in the image and likeness of God. Right? Whatever term you want to use to describe God, you know, I'm not narrowing that. Right? So that is very broad, depending on who you are. You know, I'm definitely not talking about a man in the sky. I'm definitely not talking about that. I'm talking about a presence that's never absent, that's eternal. So that presence, we're created in the image and likeness of that presence, meaning that we have the ability to think independent of circumstances. Now, that feeling of the presence naturally comes from our being. It's there all the time. Now, that feeling could be described as love, joy, peace. You know, those are some of the fundamental aspects of that feeling. You know, a feeling of all needs met, a feeling of being abundant, a feeling of having that sense of more than you can even imagine. So that bliss, ecstasy, those are feelings that come naturally from the presence within us. So what happens to us over time is that we have experiences, and based on those experiences and the way we have defined them and the way we have labeled them, we tend to develop emotions that become like a crust that literally blocks the feelings that we have deep within us. So what we should do in the sense of understanding how to deal with these things is that when emotions come up, recognize that when you have that emotion, it's coming from previous experience. It's not something that is a part of us. These emotions are there, but it's not from us. It's not from the core and the center of our being. It is coming from us, from what we experienced before on an individual level. So the experiences that you and I may have on an individual level, and I'm trying to slow down because I tend to speak a little fast, right? But the experiences that we have had on an individual level, we have memories based on those experiences. The memories based on those experiences have certain emotions or energy associated with what the experience was, whether we liked it or we didn't like it. And the ones we liked, positive emotions are associated with those. The ones we didn't like, negative emotions are associated with those. Apart from our individual memory, there's the collective memory of human beings. And that collective energy is also there, and sometimes it comes up in us. Let me give you an example. If somebody ran into the back of your car, do you have to get angry? No. Right? Some people will think, no, of course, I have to get angry. No, you don't. You will not get angry unless you have anger inside of you as an emotion. If you don't have anger inside of you, you will not get angry when somebody does something that you don't like. Now, anger is something that can be disintegrated. All right? The emotion of anger, the emotion of fear, the emotions of doubt, worry, all of these emotions that we have built up over time based on human experience, individually and collectively, that are like a crust, right? It's like a thick crust. If you look at a pie, you bake a pie, right? And you have the pie with the crust on the outside. So the crust, the pie, the thick crust is on the outside. But inside the pie is nice and soft, right? Nice and soft, and all the good stuff is on the inside of the pie. So what is happening to us as beings is that the emotions that build up over time based on our experience become that crust. And that crust now becomes something that overlays the feelings of love and joy and peace, abundance, prosperity, all needs met. Those are underneath that crustiness of life experience. So what happens now is that as you learn to practice spiritual practices, you will decrust yourself. Right? What you'll be able to do over time, if you practice meditation, if you practice affirmative prayer, you practice spiritual study, high-minded conversations, you get into life visioning, selfless service, and you have fellowship with the right environment. What tends to happen now is that you start to disintegrate that crust. You start to break it up, so to speak. The most powerful technology to break up that crustiness is silent meditation. You definitely want to learn how to do that if you've never been practicing it. Not just for myself. I've proven this. I've proven for myself, man. I mean, my children will tell you. My wife will tell you. You know, I'm just not the angry guy. You know, and I used to be. I used to be that kind of guy, right? You know, and one of my very good friends, who is a mentee of mine, and at some point I'll interview her. She used to have anger bouts. You know, she used to have periods when she was angry or anxious, very anxious. She was nervous. And over time now, it's been a while, man, and people who know her then ask her, wow, man, you have changed. Even her own sister has been now asking her, man, you know, tell me what you've been doing. You know, teach me these practices. Because her sister, who knows her for years, has, you know, her sister lives in the US and she's living in Nigeria. And her sister hadn't been here for a while and came back and saw her and saw how much she had changed in the time and just wanted to know what exactly been doing. Tell me, you know, and sister has been, I believe, been listening to these videos too. So you know what I'm talking about. And also listening to podcasts and stuff. So this is not hairy-fairy. This is not hypothetical information, my friends. This is things that if you practice them, you will have transformation. So the teaching here is about transforming our lives. All right, it's not about, you know, okay, just sounding nice, you know, for you to have entertainment. Yes, I want you to be entertained to some extent, but I also want for you to actually start to do your inner work. Start to go within. Start to actually recognize that you have to actually clean this out. You know, I'll use those emotions, unforgiveness, you know, all these anger, bitterness, resentment, all these emotions that come up because of past experience. They are literally within your house, all right, your house. So the analogy I'll use is this. You know, let's look at where we live, right? So most of us, right? And if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure you do. You live in a home, a physical building, apartment, a studio, a physical house. And, you know, imagine for a month, right? You haven't flushed the toilet. You haven't swept out the house. You haven't washed the dishes. You know, you haven't made the bed. You know, you just keep using it over and over again. What would it be like in there? Not very nice. So we clean our house. We literally, we sweep it. We wash different areas of it. And, you know, we do maintain it. Because if not, the environment becomes inhabitable, right? So just imagine now your mind as your host, right? Your mind as your host, where all these emotions are. And you don't take any time out to go clean out anger, bitterness, resentment, you know, unforgiveness. You don't take time to clean those emotions out. Then over time, all this crust is built up within you. And that's what outpictures itself as when somebody does something, someone gets angry. You cannot get angry if anger is not in you. So we have to recognize that what we need to do is to disintegrate these emotions so that we can dissolve them. And here's the sweet thing. It's energy. It's just coagulated or stuck energy. And when you start to practice silent meditation, it allows for the presence to come in and the presence disintegrates it. And the energy that was stuck is transmuted back into its natural state, which is the feelings of love, joy, peace, and those other qualities that emanate from the spirit naturally. So if you're catching what I'm saying here about feelings and emotions, you know, feelings, where feelings are concerned, they're the natural state of our being. Emotions are something that come from experience over time, based on what may have happened to us. But we can practice on a regular basis spiritual practices that allows, our technologies that allows for us to disintegrate this crustiness that tends to happen. And if we don't practice these things daily, then over time the crust happens. But if we practice, then as these issues come, things happen to us, we're just dissolving as we go. It's every day you're cleaning house. You're always sweeping out. So you're not allowing any debris to accumulate within your house and for crustiness to happen, which eventually blocks your feelings of peace and joy. And then therefore, as you start to do this more and more, man, it's like you're opening up this inner space and the joy and the peace just starts to unfold on its own. You don't have to even do anything. It's just there naturally and starts to unfold. And after a while, you start to hang out in that higher space. You know, so as we progress, you'll recognize, you know, some individuals, and myself, I used to be there, you know, I wasn't overly angry, but I was nervous a lot. You know, I mean, I used to drink alcohol. I used to drink a lot of alcohol. I used to, every weekend, I couldn't wait for the weekend to come. And even sometimes during the week. And it's been I can't remember exactly how many years, but one day, maybe it was meditation, prayer. I don't know what it was. The combination of, Carolyn praying and different things. I don't know what it was. But one day, I just stopped drinking alcohol, man. And I've never gone back. And I used to have to drink it every weekend. And it wasn't because of religion or anything. I'm feeling guilt or shame. None of that. It was just meditation, I believe, spiritual study, these practices, and after a while, I didn't need to dumb down the emotions anymore. I didn't need something to abate the feeling of fear, anxiety, and worry and doubt. Because when you meditate and you practice affirmative prayer and these other things, it comes in as a sense, as a balm, and it starts to disintegrate these crustiness. And the crustiness of those emotions disintegrate. The energy that was coagulated becomes reconstituted back into peace and joy and love. And then you start to become more and more and more and more free. So my friends, I hope that the time we invested together was valuable. I pray that you will recognize now what's going on more within you and then make decisions now to do practices that will change the content of your mind so that you can be liberated and free. All right, man, next week we're going to cover the next topic, which is the now moment. Right now, the now moment. That's going to be a very interesting one. And we're going to all bring it all together. Thoughts, bring that into perspective. The separate realities that we have, the moods that we carry on with us. And today we touched on feelings and of course, talked about emotions. And next week, the now moment, I will bring it all together so that we can recognize that happiness all the time is truly possible. All right. God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you at the top. You deserve to be there. Bye for now. For those of us who enjoyed this video, even if you didn't fully enjoy it, but leave your comments, all right? Please share it with friends, family, individuals that you'd like to actually learn about what we're talking about. And please subscribe to this channel as well. Our goal is to really help more of us as human beings on this planet rise and shine and reveal more of our inner peace, joy, and reveal more abundance. All right. So thank you for your comments. I'm looking forward to reading them. I'll seek to respond to them. I'm having a great time. I hope that you are. God bless you all.